Hello, Internet! It is time for another contest. I am doing the incredibleCJ's Contest of Hate, because the title spoke to me, the deepest part of my soul. So, just to run down the rules real quick to make sure that I am valid, am I 18 or older? Well, this ain't juice, but it's made from grapes. So I think I'm good there, at least, physically, emotionally, or mentally. A little on question, but I think I'm good there. Alright, video responses required. Check. Alright, you must PM me that I made a response. I will. Alright. U.S. entrant. In the U.S., now, I'm in a weird part of the U.S. that most people aren't familiar with. It's not on one coast or the other. It's in the middle, called the Midwest. A lot of people forget about it, but it's still technically there, so I'm good. Alright. Entries must be due by June 1st, so if I remember to upload this, I'm good. And there we go. Alright. So, which superhero movie do I hate the most? Now, that's kind of interesting. I just came off of talking about The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which I actually really liked. Literally, I was just talking about that. That may not make sense in video land, but I am still on the same drunk. So, yeah. And I like all the Spider-Man movies. I even like Spider-Man 3. In that weird kind of like... It's kind of like a what-if comic done as a movie. And if you look at it like that, what if Spider-Man was emo? And so was everyone else. It's like movie magic. I enjoy the Iron Man films. Those are good. Captain America 1's fierce mediocre. The second one, I don't hate, despite how much I just railed on it, if you watch that rambly video. But it like got closer, so I have more for it because it got so close, but it tried, but I can't hate it because it did get so close, but it does miss a huge, important chunk. Man of Steel, I don't care that much about Superman, and it was a decent movie, but it's a really bad Superman movie. The old Superman movies, how can you hate? Even the not greatest ones are great. I like the Green Lantern movie, actually. I don't love it. Nah. Daredevil, I always think of the director's cut because that's the one I own, and that's a good movie. There's the Punisher movies, which I don't know why, but anyone would expect much different, really, because what can you do with Punisher in Hollywood? I am tempted by, because, I don't know, I have a newfound love for Batman, but, the old Batman movies, when there's some... I'm not a huge fan of the Nolan movies. A lot of people love them. I'm not so big on them. But my most hated superhero movie is, without question, Wolverine Origins. Because it is 8 kinds of terrible. It just meanders on. There's Will.i.am, which makes you want to shoot yourself in the head. And then, what makes it so hated for me isn't that it's 100% bad. Because there's a part where Ryan Reynolds is Wade Wilson, and it's pitch perfect. And then the movie just tears you down and rips you apart. If you're a Deadpool fan, because you get Blanca from Mortal Kombat on the top of the frickin' atomic thing. It's more than bad. I yelled and screamed at that theater. I just was an ass in public. I've never been more nerd ragey than walking out of that movie. And it could have been just bad, but then you get to that end scene. Are you drinking to forget? No. I'm drinking to remember. Oh, God, I couldn't even go home and drink. What? Oh, that's evil. Evil. Oh, I hate that movie. Ah. If I could punch one character in the face for no reason at all, who would it be? Now, this is a weird question, because who do you punch in the face raises all kinds of stuff, and I'd have to like sort through stuff, and if I was allowed to have reasons. But for no reason at all, or really a flippant reason, I think is the best way to put it, it would be Dazzler. Because you punch her in the face and sparks would go off. What's more entertaining than that, right? Come on. So, what writer do you hate? Right now, if I had to pick one, it would be James Tynion IV. Because he just dragged me, pulled me through this really terrible run of Red Hood and the Outlaws. And what really makes it bad is in one tie-in issue to an event, he proved he could make that book amazing, and he could do awesome things if he wanted to and write a really great issue. He just chose not to. Oh, God, terrible, painful stuff. I don't even hate him that much, but one artist I do hate is Frank Whiteley for frickin' drawing Oatmeal Men. It's just weird, and I don't understand how he's as big of a thing. It's just... yeah. So, in my mind, without question, the most overrated character is Wolverine. And I'm not even saying he's a bad character. But he's on almost every Marvel team. He's in almost every X-Men book, usually. There's just no reason for him to be everywhere. He's not that compelling. He's not that dynamic. And a lot of times they throw him on the team just to have him there. But he doesn't really do anything. He's not a great speaker. He's not even always that great in the action. And on his own, there's not that much to do with him, and I don't understand how he maintains that much going on. He's a decent character, and he's good, and he should be there consistently, but I don't think he should be used more than, say, like, the Beast or Cyclops or almost any other character, because he's not that compelling. That's why I think he's the most overrated. And then, what do I think is the most overrated team? I would actually say that's the Justice League. It's rarely the same cast. By and large, I'd say the comics are mediocre to not great, with the exception of like the 90s run with those people. But for the most part, the Justice League is just DC Presents all at once. It's just not a great book, not a lot going on, and it's not much of a team or a team dynamic because the roster changes so frequently it doesn't have any meaning. So I think they're overrated, and there should be a more cohesive team that is a bigger part of the DC universe. Who is my all-time most hated character? One character I almost would avoid buying comics if they're in it, and it doesn't come up much anymore, is the Orphan Maker. This is an old, like, 90s X-Men X-Universe villain. The Orphan Maker always just creeped me out. Not necessarily the character itself, but the way they use it, because it's like this weird orbular suit guy. It's kind of almost two people because there's an assistant. And I only have like 2 comics with the Orphan Maker, and both times the Orphan Maker's kind of goofy and kind of like tries to talk to kids in a certain way, but he's trying to kill their parents and make them orphans, and it's just like this weird, dark, twisted, should be Batman villain somehow like in the middle of the X universe. And it's just, and they try to play it off as kind of like this goofy side villain, kind of like you'd have a Stiltman or something, but it's this incredibly dark premise, and just that juxtaposition that seems to happen just always wigged me out, and it just left a bad taste in my mouth, and I hate the Orphan Maker, and if essentially the Orphan Maker was erased from existence, that would be for the best. And now that I think about it, me bringing it up probably is the antithesis of that, because I imagine the character is mostly forgotten at this point. So, there you go.